Stronger,
Imagine a world without choices.
stronger,
Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. UIC.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together, together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. UIC objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we independent. Be stronger, together, together we can make it.
Welcome to another episode of Why Vote Jamaica. My name is Joseph Patterson, and today we're going to be talking about reason number 4, why you should not only vote UIC, but join, volunteer, and donate to help us protect your rights and your future. Now, by way of reminder, please remember that we still suffer from a media blockade, so you need to like, comment, and share this presentation on all your social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and tell all your contacts to do the same. Let's spread the word. So tonight we're on to another important topic. So let's get back to that topic right away. Why vote Jamaica? You might recall that the last time we looked at reason number 3, which was to make every family a property owner. You remember that? I hope you remember clearly when we had that discussion. So last time we talked about how we're going to make every family a property owner, returning to them the lands stolen from their ancestors, replacing all the ghettos and squatting communities and garrisons with quality homes and communities. We also talked about abolishing the property tax and giving each citizen a dividend-paying share in the farmlands. Now, you might recall when we had that discussion, reason 3, we looked at the two colonial parties and noted that they have continued the master-slave model of withholding the land their colonial masters stole from our ancestors. We also talked about the fact that we're sure they know and understand that there's no true liberty without property. So they have taken the time to design a society where only those with intergenerational wealth or political connections will end up owning most of our land. The majority of our people must remain landless and without property. In other words, they have to slave if they want to buy back the lands that were stolen from their ancestors. Can you imagine that? They're buying lands from people that didn't buy the lands in the first place. Now, if our people have to borrow money to buy land and then borrow money to build a home, they will end up being relatively poor after paying all that interest and so on. And they'll pass on these, conditions to their children and grandchildren, making us wage slaves pretty much forever. If the land was not stolen from our ancestors and the homes that they built would have been passed down, so the land would have been ours, passed down to their children, the homes they built would have passed down to their children, and that would be generational wealth being passed down. But for many Jamaicans, that's not the case. So they know that when you're financially independent, politicians can't buy you and trick you. They can't use freeness and handouts to control you. Similar to in North America, you know that it's very difficult because most people are somewhat more financially stable. That's why for 79 years after their colonial masters gave them the power, our politicians decided not to empower us as a people. So they withhold the lands from us. They have implemented also a globalist idea of property taxes, which makes you a tenant on your own property, as opposed to giving you full, unequivocal property rights ownership. We also talked about the fact that as you get older, your earning capacity drops, and therefore your anxiety level, your blood pressure, your chances of dying early from stress all goes up due to the artificial inflation and the property tax obligation. All of these policies that the two parties have given to us, whether it's the NHT or any other policy, they're all designed to undermine our purchasing power, to rob you of your individual liberty, and to rob you of your financial freedom. So that's what we talked about the last time when we looked at reason number 3. Now, today we're going to look at reason number 4, which is, quite an interesting reason to look at. But let me big up those online. Big up Lion Rule the Jungle. Glad you can join us. EJW, good night to you. Clive Morrison, Sylvester Lawrence, good to see you all on. So we're going to talk about reason number 4 now. Before we talk about reason number 4, let me remind you of something which is coming up. You might not remember anything about it, so I'm going to remind you about it. Do you remember this? So we have coming up on January 28th, our Opportunity Knocks financial seminar, where you learn to invest in yourself. So on the 28th, we have the seminar coming up. The price is $25 US, so you can purchase a ticket online, or you can pay $2,500 if you're here in Jamaica. So we're going to have this wonderful online seminar. It's going to be 100% online this time. And so everybody's going to get a chance to come in and learn some very important principles and concepts and strategies in how to invest in yourself, invest your money, invest your time in such a way that you build for yourself a certain degree of financial security, financial independence, among other things. So check it out if you want. Go online, uicjamaica.com, and register at $25, and you'll be sent the link to join us on January 28th for my Invest in Yourself seminar. So looking forward to seeing you all participating in that if you can. Now, reason number 4 is a special reason to make Jamaica water, food, and energy secure. Yeah, to make Jamaica water, food, and energy secure while becoming the organic food capital of the world and a net exporter of water, renewable energy technology. We believe that this will make us a more healthy nation while creating new jobs, lowering the water and food and energy costs for all, and really building a quality Jamaica. You'd have heard me talk about this in a number of other instances on the, if you want to call it, the campaign trail between, prior times and now. So tonight I'm going to drill down a little bit more on this topic of, becoming water, food, and energy secure. And around that concept, building our, what I want to call our competitive advantage. Yeah, so we have some basic elements in Jamaica that would make us very competitive globally. So far, we have not found them. We have not really, found them and leveraged them properly. But the UIC knows that one of those key strategic advantages is organic, becoming an organic food capital for the world. And I'm going to explain that more in a little bit. But under the current system, we see some serious things we can look at about the current system. Big up yourself, Marvel Crawford. Thank you. Welcome, Jamotive. Good to see you on as well. So today I'm going to talk. First of all, let me talk about some of the issues coming out of the current system of governance. So right now, as we speak, many communities and farmers are still without adequate water supply. Yeah, and some are suffering from a lack of regular water supply, or they're suffering from low water pressure. So there are many Jamaicans who are struggling with water issues, whether it is not having enough water or any water coming through a well-planned system, and some suffering from water lock-offs too often, and some suffering from very low pressure when everybody wake up in the morning across the entire community. They're not getting enough water in the pipes. I don't know if you experienced that. I experienced it when I was living in Portmore. My gosh, I have to make sure I'm up before everybody else, to get a decent shower. Now, many families are also unable to access good quality food right here in Jamaica. Can you believe that? So they can't access good quality food at an affordable price, while many more farmers are going out of business as a result of cheaper imports flooding our local markets. Many Jamaicans are still stealing electricity to this very day, while many more are struggling to pay exorbitant light bill that seems to always be going up and outside of their control. So over the 79 years of two colonial parties, our water, our food, and our energy, our water, our food, and our energy costs have only outpaced our income, while the government itself appears to be more and more incompetent at managing our resources. So Marvel says, yes, my mother is currently experiencing water shortage in Trelawney. Absolutely. There are many people who are struggling because of poor management. So yes, Alan Scott, it would be good if we had the solar systems on our schools. We're going to talk about that. So what have they been doing for the 79 years? Now look at it. The National Water Commission, NWC, which by the way is still owned by the government, not for long. Soon they're going to sell it off. But right now it's still owned by the government. But it's always operating at a loss. So they have not been able to figure out how to operate a National Water Commission, a National Water Service, in a way that would not incur losses, meaning the revenues that comes in from providing water to the Jamaican people is less than the cost of providing that water. Why can't they get it to a break-even position where it should be? We're not trying to make profit here. We're not, you don't need to make a profit from water, but it should break even. It should be so managed that the cost and the revenues are in line and you're breaking even. And the way to do that is to be an effective manager. But the government of Jamaica doesn't manage anything very well, as you know. Take, for example, the Agriculture Ministry. It has failed. It has failed every single sector, as more and more farmers find themselves led astray into all manner of schemes that only made them weaker and weaker financially until they're replaced by cheaper imports. So they mash up banana, they mash up sugar, they mash up breadfruit, they mash up cassava, they mash up coffee, they mash up pepper, they mash up everything. Every single farming sector or agricultural sector that them touch, they mash it up. Why? What's wrong with these guys? Why is it they can't figure out a way to manage our resources and guide our farmers and guide our people in a way that makes us optimal and efficient and effective? Look what they've done with JPS. Same thing. JPS is a colossal failure, a complete failure. And what did they do to solve the failing problem? They simply sold out JPS to foreign interests, which means it must sell electricity at a profit instead of at a break even. So they have created an environment where JPS must cost us more than it needs to cost us, because when you have foreign interests owning your utility company, they have to make a profit that they can send back out of your country to wherever they came from. So by default, you are designing your economy to fail by not being able to manage your own energy. We can't manage nothing. We can't manage water. We can't manage agriculture. We can't manage energy. This is serious. We can't manage anything at all. Nothing at all you give the government they can manage. They cannot manage an airline. They cannot manage airports. They cannot manage water. They cannot manage energy. They can't manage anything. Anything they touch breaks, becomes highly unprofitable or highly costly. So after 79 years at the wheel, the two colonial parties have really only excelled at failure. Yes, they have only excelled at failure. They have failed to make us water, food, or energy secure because they're not working for us. They're working for the PSOJ oligarchy. So because they're not focused on us, we the people, they're not focused on meeting our needs. They're not focused on bringing down our cost. They're not focused on giving us an environment in which we can be optimal. They're focused on something else. And that something else is who is funding their political election. They don't need to focus on us because we don't have any control over their election. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. We, the people, have no control over their election. The PSOJ controls which of the two of them will be elected. The PSOJ gives them the money to come to us and buy our votes or trick us into voting for them. And so because the PSOJ has the largest share of our economic resources and money, they will dictate which of the two parties will win, generally speaking. But it doesn't matter which of the two win, because both parties know that if they do not please the PSOJ, then they cannot sit in the seat of government. So we, the people, are left out in the cold. So when you see the two parties failing, they're not really failing. They're failing us, yes, but they're not failing the PSOJ oligarchy that funds them. Think about it. What have they excelled at besides manufacturing corrupt scheme after corrupt scheme to steal our money? If you look at the history of these two parties, you see a history of corruption. And every time you learn of one new form of corruption, whether it's how somebody steals money through our school system, or they steal it through some other industry, let's say light bulbs or zinc or NHT or something. But every time you look, they have come up with a much better scheme for stealing more money from us. And so they consistently steal from us, and that's all they succeed in. How do they get away with stealing from us and still get reelected? They excel at designing myriad kinds of corruption. They excel at massive poverty creation. They have found various ways to keep us poor, to make poor people, to produce poor people, from our school system producing 70% or more failure. So they're doing very, very well. They excel at leading us into becoming a most crime-infested nation. In fact, they show no propensity toward ever creating a safe, clean, and orderly society where all of us may be able to live, earn, and retire with dignity. Think about it. We have lots of rains, heavy rains, serious floods, some very nice rivers and springs, underground water. But they could not use 79 years in Parliament to figure out how best to harvest, store, purify, and distribute all of this water to everyone cheaply on a relatively small island with a population of only 3 million people. They have not been able to figure out these basic things after 79 years in our parliament. We have lots of nice fertile lands. Much of it is uncultivated, much of it is laying idle, but they could not use 79 years in Parliament to figure out how to empower our farmers, our engineers, and our entrepreneurs to grow all the food we need and to grow a surplus to export. They have not been able to use 79 years to figure this out. Think about it. We have 12 months of sunshine, lots and lots of biomass. We have some very windy areas. We have tons of geothermal opportunities. We have more than a few heavy waterways, but they remained fixated on importing fossil fuel for their 79 years in Parliament, instead of getting our scientists, our engineers, and our entrepreneurs to fast-track renewable energy options. They have wasted 79 years not doing that. So let me ask you a question. How many more years do they need? Should we give them another 79? Should we give them another 5, 10, 15, 20? As we decline from being the leading economy in the Caribbean in 1944 to now being second to last in 2024? How many more years? How many more years should we give them? How many more years should we give them? How much more money must we allow them to borrow in our name, to squander and steal, then force us to suffer the IMF austerity measures to pay it back without having received the benefits thereof? Should we allow them to borrow another $2 trillion again in our name? And then tell us about we have to tighten our bellies? We have to sacrifice. For who? For them to be able to enrich themselves at our expense? You might recall how they promised you deliverance. They said what? Deliverance is near. Wait there, it not come yet. They told you money would jingle in your pocket. But I guess they meant that you would have some small change. They told you we put people first. But did that just mean that they're going to put their people first, not you? They told you to log on to progress. But what did that mean? That you must suffer so that they can progress? They promised you to move from poverty to prosperity. But in the end, they really only tricked us to achieve their prosperity while pushing the middle class into poverty. Look at our teachers today. Look at our police today. If them don't have 2 or 3 side hustle, they can't live a decent life. Our nurses, every one of them are run with. As soon as we produce somebody in this country, they want to leave. That's what they've done. Now, before I go into the UIC solutions, you know that we're a solution-oriented organization. We're going to talk about solutions here. I had to give you that background to remind you as to where we're coming from. So I want to now share with you the UIC solutions, how we're going to fix this grand 79-year-old mess. But before I do that, I want to show you a few videos. You know, I like to do that, right? Show you some videos of what's happening in other parts of the world, how they're dealing with various issues. And so the first video I want to show you is one concerning water security. You know, tonight we're talking about water security, food security, and energy security. I want to show you a video on water security, so we can understand how important water is and why we need to secure our water properly. Very, very important for us to understand how crucial water is and how crucial water is going to be in the coming years. And if we farm fool with this one and not act fast to secure Jamaica's water supply, we're going to have some serious problems on our hands. Yep. So tonight I want to share with you a little story on water and how critical it is.
What factor do you think contributes the most to the rise and fall of civilizations? Is it war? The economy? It's disease. Well, those are all wrong. The largest contributing factor that has determined which countries are superpowers and which countries fade into darkness is the access to water. And this is something that most people may not think about on a daily basis, because these days you simply turn on a tap and water comes out. But how it gets to your tap in the first place is one of the best indicators in determining the success of a country. And in fact, we might be seeing the creation of some water empires right in front of our very eyes. Why are cities located where they are? Some factors that determined where people settled in the past were things like access to trade routes, nearby valuable resources, and the fertility of the land. But by far, the biggest factor was the proximity of a city to a freshwater source. That is why today roughly 90% of the world's population lives within 10 kilometers of a freshwater source, even if many of those water sources are running dry today. But we will get to that in a second. Right now, the 18 largest cities in Europe are located on or near a major water source, and this same pattern has been shown throughout most of history. For example, Uruk was a city located in present-day Iraq. In 3500 BCE, it was the largest city in the world with 40,000 inhabitants. And for thousands of years, it was an economic and cultural powerhouse of the world. That was until its key water source, the Euphrates River, began to shift. Around 100 AD, the river began to flow away from Uruk, and by 700 AD, the river had moved so far away that the once massive city was completely abandoned. Ironically, the remains of the city are now located right next to the new Euphrates River, which supplies many cities in modern-day Iraq with fresh water. And a similar story to this can be told for the once great Mayan Empire. From the year 200 AD to 900 AD, the Mayans had built up a sprawling civilization that had 40 cities and reached a population of about 2 million people. But then the Yucatan Peninsula, which is where the Mayans were located, went through a series of droughts. Many historians believe that these droughts were the largest reason why the Mayan Empire collapsed and left behind ancient cities, temples, and wonders. And lastly, it is theorized that a lack of water supply contributed to the downfall of other civilizations, like the Khmer Empire in the 1400s, the ancient Egyptians around 30 BCE, parts of Europe in the 1500s, and the mega drought that occurred nearly 100,000 years ago, which forced humans to migrate out of Africa and settle in Europe and Asia. What I'm trying to say is that a lack of fresh water supply tends to be correlated with the rise and fall of civilizations. Or at least it was. But then a strange thing happened. Once the technology of human civilization advanced, we began creating new ways to access fresh water. The most important one today is accessing groundwater. You see, when you look at the Earth, roughly 97% of the water is salt water, which is undrinkable for humans. Roughly 2% of the Earth's water is frozen in ice, and only 1% of the water on Earth is fresh water that humans find useful. But even that is a misleading number, because only 30% of the fresh water on Earth is located on the surface in things like lakes and rivers. Yet 70% of the fresh water on Earth is actually located underground, which is called groundwater. But humans for millennia did not have the technology to extract large quantities of water from the ground. Even though small wells were used to extract groundwater back in 8000 BCE, the population was still largely reliant upon being close to a river or a lake. But that was then, and this is now. In the world today, there are over 34 countries and territories without any rivers. The most notable on this list is Saudi Arabia. In fact, when you look at Saudi Arabia using satellite imagery, you will see that there are no major sources of fresh water at all. as most of the country seems to be covered in mountains, dunes, and deserts. And the same can be said for other countries like Yemen, Libya, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. But if you were to zoom in on some of these places, you might see something that would surprise you. Located seemingly in the middle of a desert is a series of circular crop fields. But how could this be when the country seems to have no nearby water sources? Well, the answer is a little bit complicated. The first thing that you should know is roughly 90% of a country's water usage goes towards agriculture and growing food. Only 5% of the water is used at residencies, and another 5% goes towards industrial projects such as cooling down power plants. For example, it takes roughly 28 liters of water to make the ingredients that go into a 591 milliliter Coca-Cola bottle. It takes 74 liters of water to make a glass of beer, and 130 liters of water to make a cup of coffee. Now, Saudi Arabia gets roughly 40% of its water from groundwater aquifers. This water is then piped to the man-made crop fields, which is a large reason why the country has been able to have an agricultural sector at all. But again, things have changed recently. The trouble with a country using groundwater as a main source of water is that this water is non-renewable and doesn't get replenished because it does not rain very often in Saudi Arabia. This has led aquifer water levels to drop by over 500 feet in the last 25 years, meaning that Saudi Arabia is quickly running out of water reserves. And this has caused a dramatic shift in their economic plan. They stopped trying to turn their deserts into water-intensive crop fields and began investing heavily and striking trade deals for farmland in the United States, Argentina, and several African countries. So over the past decade, they have been growing most of their food in these countries and then shipping it overseas to themselves, simply because these countries have more access to water. This means that Saudi Arabia has had to pay other countries a premium just in order to get access to enough water to feed their citizens. And this is a problem that is not just contained to Saudi Arabia. Worldwide, groundwaters are beginning to run dry. And some places that you might not expect will soon be facing a water crisis. For example, Cape Town in South Africa began running out of water in 2015. This made the city place heavy water restrictions for several years in order to help replenish their water supply. And this water crisis caused a spike in poverty, inflation, and food shortages throughout the city. And this effect will likely soon be felt in many other cities around the world. Sao Paulo, London, Melbourne, Jakarta, Beijing, Istanbul, Tokyo, Bangalore, Mexico City, and the Southwest United States are all areas that are expected to face extremely high amounts of water stress within the next 2 decades. And according to several reports out of Harvard and the World Economic Forum, within the next 5 decades, the most populated countries in the world in China, India, and the United States are all expected to face a water crisis. And I mean, you can learn a lot about a city or country by just looking up where it gets its water supply. For example, New York City gets a lot of its water from Delaware and the Catskill Mountains, which are piped in from nearly 150 kilometers away. Beijing, which is one of the most advanced and populated cities in the world, gets 60% of its water from groundwater. But because it is facing water shortages, the city is building a 1,000 kilometer pipeline from the Han River to Beijing. And this pipeline is actually one of the most expensive engineering projects in human history, costing nearly $80 billion. That's 20 billion more than the Three Gorges Dam. Now, the real problem is this. As countries begin to run out of water, they stop producing water-based food and resources, meaning that the countries that are low on water rely heavily upon trading with those that do have water in order to get water-based products. And those products can be anything from food like wheat, cows, and wine to everyday consumer items. All this means is that once the water supply of a country runs low, they will rely upon water-rich countries in order to function. And that is why we might be seeing water empires being built right in front of our very eyes. In fact, Goldman Sachs called water the petroleum of the next century, meaning that the countries with water in the next century will be massive economic players, similar to how oil-rich countries were the massive economic players over the past century. I mean, over the last 100 years, only about 12 countries produced the vast majority of oil for all 195 countries on the planet, and we might be seeing that same pattern with water. Right now, the list of major net importers of water products that also have high water scarcity are North Africa, the Middle East, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, and most countries in Europe. And that list is expected to grow and include countries like China, the United States, and India in the coming decades. Meanwhile, the largest net exporters of water products that also have little to no water scarcity are Russia, Brazil, Argentina, several Central African countries, the Nordic countries, and Canada. Meaning that these countries will likely be able to control the water market over the coming decades as other countries begin to run out of water. And just to give you some perspective on how much of a powerhouse the three biggest water countries could become, a study from the Central Intelligence Agency showed that Russia, Brazil, and Canada have more renewable freshwater resources than all of Europe, Australia, Africa, the United States, China, and India combined. This means that those three countries in Brazil, Russia, and Canada, who have the largest surplus of water resources, will likely be seeing a large increase in trade and investment from other countries seeking to import water-based products. And we have already started seeing this effect. For example, Canada has seen nearly a 50% increase in exports of water-intensive crops like canola, lentils, oats, and wheat since 2010. But the economic benefits of owning a large portion of the world's fresh water might not just be for countries. Many hedge funds and banks such as Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, Barclays Bank, HSBC, and many others have been investing billions of dollars into land with large amounts of fresh water, along with investing in water companies. And some individuals, like the billionaire T. Boone Pickens, who made his money through oil and finance, ended up buying hundreds of thousands of acres of land with fresh groundwater in West Texas. And once West Texas went through a drought in 2011, he sold the rights to the water for roughly $103 million. And examples like this are going on all over the world right now. But even though things may seem a little dark right now, there are some solutions which might circumvent this from all happening. The first thing that could take place that would prevent countries from running out of water is by just consuming less of it. Now, even though I do not think that this is going to happen, it was proven to work in Cape Town, where they put massive restrictions on water usage and water products, and over a few years their water supply began to replenish itself. Another thing that could take place is using more efficient technology in agriculture. For example, the vast majority of irrigation in the world is done by simply flooding the fields, which is an extremely inefficient use of water. Using more efficient methods such as spraying crops or subsurface irrigation could dramatically reduce water usage when growing crops around the world. However, this is a lot more expensive. But arguably the biggest factor that could solve the water crisis around the world is something that I will always bet on, and that is human innovation. You see, Aristotle wrote a book called Meteorology in the year 350 BCE that mentioned 4 new ideas. 1 was that the Earth was likely a sphere. 2 was that the Earth and its features are always changing. 3 was that everything was made up of elements. And 4 was something that might be the solution to our current water crisis that we are facing over 2,000 years later. He wrote down in his meteorology book this: salt water, when it turns into vapor, becomes sweet, and the vapor does not form salt water again when it condenses. He also mentioned a fine wax vessel would hold potable water after being submerged long enough in seawater, having acted as a membrane to filter the salt. This was the first time in history where a human recorded the process of desalination, which means taking the salt out of water. And over the next 1600 years after this was written, there were a few recorded experiments of successful desalination occurring on ocean-bearing ships. meaning that sailors did not have to bring fresh water with them and could just desalinate the ocean water that they were traveling on in order for them to drink it. But these desalination methods at the time were only practical for serving a few dozen people. It would take a lot of time, money, and innovation before a desalination process could be used for an entire city. From the 1920s to the 1950s, countries like the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar each built their own larger desalination plants that could serve hundreds of households every single day. And from the 1950s to today, this technology has kept improving to the point where one desalination plant like the Ras Al Khair in Saudi Arabia can provide water to millions of citizens every single day. So then that brings up this question. If we have the capability of building giant desalination plants that would solve our water crisis forever, then why aren't we using these? Well, in some places like Israel, they are expanding their desalination sector in hopes of getting roughly 70% of their fresh water from the ocean by 2050. But the trouble is that each one of these plants takes a long time to build and costs billions of dollars. So if a country needs more fresh water in the next few years, they're more likely to spend their money on alternative methods, like water trades with other countries or water restrictions. But the long-term solution for most countries' water crisis is putting billions of dollars per year into desalination projects like Israel, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia have been doing. But again, each government and country is in a different situation. For example, in China, desalinated water costs nearly double to produce than it does to sanitize their normal fresh water, meaning that they would rather build a giant pipeline to a fresh water source than desalinate the ocean water close to where most of their cities are located, simply because it is a lot cheaper in the long run to build a pipeline. So, despite all of the innovations and solutions to the water crisis, there will likely still be a big opportunity for water-rich countries to capitalize on and potentially control the world's water supply. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Do you agree with the solutions? And what are your thoughts on the empires being built through a water crisis? Let me know.
Okay, I hope that was very informative for you. It gave you a perspective on how serious it is for us to take our water resource as somebody put it, a gold mine. Water is gold. It is far more important than almost anything else next to air. So keep that in mind as you listen to what I'm going to say after this. After I've given you these background information, keep in mind how critical water is to our security as a nation, to our economy, to our people. The next video I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch from water security into food security. And what we're going to see here is how a small country that does not have our advantages, yes, they have other advantages, but they don't have our natural advantages, our agricultural advantages, how that small country is able to be a superpower in the area of agriculture. So I'm going to share with you now two videos actually on the agri-space and how this particular country has been able to make agriculture a significant part of their economy and actually turn them into a global superpower when it comes on to harnessing food from the earth in a way that is most efficient, most effective, and as a result have placed them on the map when it comes on to food production. So let's take a look.
Here we have the Netherlands, a beautiful, very flat country made up of windmills and tulip fields. When people think of the Netherlands economy, they go straight to Amsterdam, whether it be the coffee shops or recent headlines about post-Brexit financial services. But in this video, we are going to explore Dutch agriculture, which has helped turn the economy of the Netherlands into the Silicon Valley for food. If I asked you, who do you think is the biggest food exporter in the European Union? You might think France or Italy. That's what I answered before I researched this video. As you might have guessed from the title of the video, The answer is actually the Netherlands. The Dutch economy is the agricultural powerhouse of the European Union, and that title could perhaps stretch to the world for certain fruits or vegetables. The Netherlands is the second largest food exporter globally, behind the United States. But if you compare the population of both countries, it's no surprise the USA is ahead. The truth is that agriculture in the Netherlands performs incredibly well and generates a lot of economic growth and productivity growth for the Dutch economy. So how did this happen, despite having a relatively low landmass compared to other large agricultural economies? Understanding this is the aim of this video, and if you appreciate the work that goes into these videos, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. It costs you nothing and it can really help support the channel. So why has the economy of the Netherlands become something of an agricultural powerhouse? Typically, as countries become more developed, they move away from sectors like agriculture to heavy manufacturing and then eventually services. The reason for this is due to an economic concept called opportunity cost. This is essentially the hidden cost of making one decision over another. For example, if you have a piece of land that is 1 hectare and you use it to grow potatoes, you might earn 7,000 or 8,000 euros. If instead you use that area to build a factory or an office, the return could be much higher. Well, the Netherlands has actually been a bit backwards in this aspect. Famous Dutch companies include Shell and Philips, and the first stock exchange in the world was actually in the Netherlands. It wasn't until fairly recently that the Dutch economy started looking at ways to become a large agricultural producer and exporter. Now I know what you might be thinking, agriculture in the European Union, it's got to be subsidised. You would be partially right, as the Common Agricultural Policy is essentially just that. But compared to other prosperous EU countries, the Netherlands gets a much lower subsidy. The Dutch economy gets about 1/3 of what Greece gets, or 1/10 of what France gets. And when you consider this to one of the other countries I've covered before, Switzerland, it is clear that something else explains this. The answer as to how the Netherlands economy has become the garden of the world can be explained in one word: technology. That's the simple answer, but that doesn't explain why other countries can't keep up. After all, it's not as if Spain or France can't afford technology. And that's why we have to go back a bit further to understand why agriculture in the Netherlands was promoted as a sector. In the 1970s, the economy of the Netherlands was one of the most prosperous in Europe. Compared to the UK, the Netherlands was practically a paradise. Instead of rolling blackouts and constant strikes, the Netherlands economy was growing and dominating global markets in electronics and gas. However, there were some issues that started to appear in the Netherlands during this time. With market-leading firms growing at a rate quicker than the rest of the economy, it encouraged younger, more educated workers to move away from agriculture to well-paying sectors. This put Dutch agriculture under a lot of pressure, an issue made worse by the fact that Dutch farms can't really benefit from economies of scale. Unlike the USA, which has incredibly large farms, typically owned by a big corporate, the Netherlands had the opposite, which made large investments more risky. Another issue at this point is an economic concept called the Dutch disease. With sectors like natural gas bringing in large demand, the Dutch currency continued to strengthen. This made it even harder for Dutch farmers to compete with agriculture from other European economies. So why didn't the Dutch government just give up on agriculture? After all, it wasn't that valuable to the economy of the Netherlands, and trade was becoming more open across the globe, meaning there wasn't a food security issue. Well, if the Dutch government was looking at it purely from an economic perspective, they might well have given up on it, but sometimes people and politics can get in the way of that. The good news is that the outcomes have been remarkably positive, but we will come back to those later. Farming associations in the Netherlands had a disproportionate amount of power. For example, farming associations essentially had an open-door policy with the government, and they regularly took the opportunity to try and keep agriculture alive within the country. As the rest of the economy was developing around them, Dutch farmers were not willing to change from agriculture to one of the growing sectors. And given their political influence, the government needed to figure out a way to deal with this issue. Instead of giving up on agriculture, the Dutch government decided to double down on agriculture and decided that if it was going to be part of the Netherlands economy, it was going to be a productive one. Since salaries couldn't be reduced or more land created, the only solution was to improve productivity, and that's where technology and research step in. More specifically, the University of Wageningen entered the scene and became a key economic player. This university is to the Dutch economy what Stanford University is to Silicon Valley. Stanford University is not only a world leader in research, they also produce the best computer scientists in the world. These computer scientists then leave Stanford and go to work for Facebook, Apple, or Google. For agriculture, this Dutch university takes up the mantle of world leader. And instead of being called Silicon Valley, the Netherlands has Food Valley. Many of you probably hadn't heard of this university. I certainly hadn't. But its role cannot be understated. It only works in the world of agriculture, and everything is geared towards producing the best research and the best workforce for the sector. They don't offer degrees in law or politics. It is all about biology, chemistry, or food science. They are also funded in a very different way to most universities, which stems from the fact that to make Dutch farming competitive, it needed to be productive. The funding structure for the university is made up of both public and private sector funding. In the last 2 decades, public sector funding for the university's research budget has doubled, aimed specifically at improving the economy of the Netherlands through something called agritech. Over 25% of the funding then comes from the private sector, typically agricultural firms wanting to improve their own productivity. This does not mean that the university is being privatised, nor does it mean that the research the university produces is hidden away, never to be seen again. It actually has a major benefit, which is that it allows the university to be connected to the business community in the region. And through a concept called the agglomeration effect, this has created an economic boom. By working closely with agricultural businesses and helping them to boost the Dutch economy, it has encouraged more firms to set up in the area. This in turn leads to business support services like accountants or lawyers setting up shop, as well as cafes or restaurants as wages go up. Most importantly in this instance, it also encourages intelligent people to come and study at the university. The university is the most cited in this field and has incredibly close links with businesses. Whether you want to do research or become an entrepreneur, the university is the place to be for those interested in agriculture. The result is that 40% of the students and staff at the university are foreign, coming from every inch of the globe. For someone like me, who can only speak one language, it would be great as the official language of the university is actually English. To give an example of what this actually means to people in real life, let's look at tomato growing in the Netherlands. The starting point is to understand that in natural Dutch conditions, growing tomatoes would be pretty challenging. Thankfully, through the research produced by the university, the Netherlands is a pioneer in LED technology and improving agricultural yields. This helps create a precisely controlled microclimate which can be operated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This has helped the Netherlands become a world leader in tomato growing and exporting. But there's also a bigger piece to all of this. Economic growth and protecting the environment are often put side by side as things that are mutually exclusive. The Dutch tomato is an example that shows that this is not always true. In the USA, farmers need about 126 litres of water for every 1 kilo of tomatoes. In the Netherlands, farmers need just 8 litres of water to grow a kilo of tomatoes. An amazing saving in both economic and environmental terms. Not only does the university help to produce the research, it also plays a key role in getting that research out there so that farmers can take advantage of it. What I didn't know was how quick technology changes within agriculture, and it is thanks to the university and the Dutch Agricultural Council that farmers can stay on top of that. After all, it's no good being a farmer and getting money from the Common Agricultural Policy and then not knowing what to actually spend the money on. The Agricultural Council helps signpost farmers to the most up-to-date equipment for whatever crop they're trying to grow. They want to grow potatoes, they'll be told what machines to get. If they want to grow tulips, they'll be told what tech they need. The overall result is that Dutch agriculture is one of the most productive in the world. But from an environmental perspective, they reign supreme too. For example, antibiotics use is much lower. The same is true for pesticide usage. Water usage for their crops has fallen by close to 90% since the technology revolution began. And thankfully, being the open and trading nation that the Netherlands is, they are exporting this technology around the globe, which will hopefully have a similar positive impact elsewhere. Both the United Arab Emirates and Singapore have made large orders for Dutch agricultural technology. They're doing this to improve their food security, and I wouldn't be surprised if other rich growing economies do the same. It is a success story that goes under the radar when thinking about the Dutch economy. But the cheese I had for lunch is in part due to the agricultural revolution, and for that, I say thank you. Over to you then. Did you know before this video how strong Dutch agriculture was? Were you surprised by the role of agriculture in the Netherlands economy? Let me know in the comment section down.
Wow, I hope you were as impressed as I am of the Dutch people, the Netherlands, how they maximize their small plot of land and their big brain in order to do something that is very unlikely for them to do. A country in Europe with their kind of weather, with their below sea level, most of their land is below sea level, suffering from huge problems of flooding, and they have been able to make themselves the second largest exporter of food in the world. They have invested heavily in agriculture, invested heavily in the education of agriculture, the science of agriculture, and as a result, have mastered the use of water, mastered the use of the limited space that they have, and have produced a magnificent outcome. Now, if you think Jamaica can't do the same, then you do not understand the extent to which we are an ingenious set of people by our political leaders. They have kept us back. They have oppressed us and suppressed us and maintained the colonial structures that have prevented us from being all that we can be. But in summary, in summarizing this, I want you to see all of the key indicators that the Netherlands, a small European country, without our tropical advantage, without the quality of our land, how they have, really outperformed other countries on some key indicators. I want you to see those indicators now and take a look at them and just remind yourself what Jamaica can be if we have the kind of leadership necessary to bring out the best in our people, in our sector, in our industries. I know we can do it and we must do it, but we must be prepared to move away from those who have led us in the wrong direction. Now, it's amazing because water is critical. Water is very important, and you have seen how strategically important water is, and you have seen how dangerous it is for us to not pay attention to managing our resources properly. You've also seen that the current governments of the last 79 years, the same two parties that have led us for the last 79 years, that they're very careless, they're very reckless. They've not been able to manage any of our sectors optimally. None of the sectors at all. They've not managed water very well, and if you leave them with it, we'll get to the point where we have to import. We'll become a net importer of water after they've destroyed our water infrastructure. If we leave them with it, well, they've already done it. They have destroyed our agricultural sectors, and now we're importing all kinds of foods that we could have produced ourselves. So the longer you leave them with agriculture, they're going to destroy that. The longer you leave them with our water, they're going to destroy that. They have also destroyed our energy sector by not building a nation where we are fully involved in understanding, analyzing, designing, creating, and using alternative energy sources, renewable energy sources, in a way that would make us a very strong and independent nation. The next video you're about to see is going to show you this in stark contrast of another small country that is very Caribbean in nature, another small country, how they have been able to bring their country to 98%. Catch me here, 98%. Yeah? 98% of their energy comes from renewable sources that they can control as a people. This country only has 5 million persons in their population. Remember, Jamaica would be about 7 million today if we didn't cause a lot of our people to run away because of the poor economy and the poor standard of living. So in this video that I'm going to share with you, you're going to see how we could have and how another country has already done it. You'll notice in many of my presentation, I try to give you an example, because when you talk about things, people tend to believe that it's impossible, we can't do it. You saw one person explaining earlier on that Jamaica is too small. That's the kind of mindset they give us. We're too small to be a major agricultural economic player. But what's really small is the person's mind. It's all our education system and our political leaders have dumbed us down so we can only think in terms of the mindset that they have given us. We're too small. We have to beg everybody else. We have to depend on everybody else. We're too small to do anything. But Singapore, which is 1/15 our size in physical landmass, the size of St. Thomas, they have outperformed us on practically every major index. They've outperformed even their former colonial masters. They have outperformed America on many indices, even though they are so small. I've shown you how the Netherlands, which is one of the smallest European countries, they have outperformed many countries who could have done. For example, Ghana, which is in Africa, where I've been. Ghana has 30 million people. 30 million people, which is more than twice the size of the Netherlands. And they have far, far more land and better land than the Netherlands. But they follow the Jamaica model of doing things. And so that has kept Ghana backwards for a long time. Just like how our leaders here have kept us backwards for the last 79 years. And so what I'm about to show you now is a video of a country, a small country, Costa Rica, which has been able to so harness their natural energy propensity to be able to deliver for their people a 98% renewable energy infrastructure on which to gain the energy that they need. Of course, there are pros and cons, and there are other factors, right? There's always other factors. But do not be deterred by the fact that there are always other factors at play. We need to find how to optimally use what we have, the factors we have, in order to make our country a very wealthy, independent, and healthy country. And we can do it. So the next video I'm about to show you will illustrate how we too can become energy independent and not remain dependent on fossil fuel to the extent that we do.
In Costa Rica, an increasing number of entrepreneurs and small businesses are switching to renewable sources of energy because it's a smart economic choice. Luis Diego Vasquez says it's not just about being green. The solar panels that run his ice cream shop save him money.
We used to work with a gasoline generator here. The gas cost about $25 a day. Now with the panels, no fuel is used. There is no pollution. It does not make a sound. People like it, and the investment is recovered by saving money on the fuel.
Vasquez and solar farmer Fatima Mani Alegre are part of a renewable energy economy that has allowed Costa Rica to get a record 98% of their electric energy from renewable sources.
We have the opportunity with this energy to have tranquility, health, save money, electricity, gas, and above all, we're contributing to the health of the planet and the health of all the people.
On a national scale, the country gets its energy from a number of sources, like wind energy, geothermal energy, and hydroelectric power. Even the streetlights are solar powered. Government officials like Andrea Mesa say the country is making choices to go carbon neutral because that is simply what the future will demand.
Donde vamos a estar muy digitalizados.
Where we are going to be very digitalized, and these two processes feed back on each other, and where we are going to start to produce electricity in a decentralized manner. These are very structural changes of the energy model and the economic model, and the country sets out its roadmap to prepare and take advantage of it, to give it opportunities.
All this is possible because Costa Rica only has about 5 million citizens and no major industry, so their electric energy grid is small. But the transportation sector is big, and that relies almost exclusively on gasoline. Because of that, petroleum products still account for most of the country's total energy use. But Mesa insists that too will change.
Es importante.
It is important. This is like a mantra that we always repeat. This is not an environmental issue, it is a development model issue. This is a matter of preparing the country for the fourth industrial revolution. The world is moving towards an economy where we are going to stop using oil, although some think that it will never be possible. But that is what we are going to do.
In the short term, analysts expect the growth of renewable energy and the demand for oil to continue to rise. Kevin Enix, VOA News.
Wow, so very impressive, eh? Really impressive to see a small country like Costa Rica being able to do such an amazing job. Remember, they have 5 million people, so there are 2 million people more than us. They're a small country relative to us, and they have been able to do the unthinkable. 98% of their energy comes from renewable sources over which they have complete control, which means that they have placed themselves in an energy secure position. They still use fossil fuel, of course, to power their cars and so on, but that's okay. It's okay that you still have limitations. What we want to do is to maximize our opportunities. So if we can get to the place where, for let's say, most of our household needs and schools and government buildings, are off the fossil fuel grid, if you will, and we still have a few other industries or a few other segments needing the fossil fuel support, and that's a small percentage relative to what it is now. So it's going to impact our need for foreign exchange significantly, bringing down the amount of US dollars we have to buy to purchase fuel, or if we're a part of the BRICS arrangement using theirs. Either way, we're going to reduce the amount of money we need, the amount of foreign currencies we need to purchase to buy foreign resources to fuel our country if we move Jamaica to the Costa Rica level, where 98% of our regular operations are being supported by renewable energy. It should be very clear to you by now that the two colonial parties have wasted our time. They have wasted our money, and they have wasted our resources for over 79 years. They have wasted our time, money, and resources over the 79 years that they have been in government. They have captured our government for 79 years and used all of that time to waste our time, to waste our money, and to waste our resources, and cause more than half of us to run away from our country to go live somewhere else and struggle, as opposed to being able to enjoy a quality life here at home and building our economy. They have made us water insecure instead of water secure. They have made us food insecure instead of food secure. They have made us energy insecure instead of energy secure. So any promises at all that they make to us now is only good enough for a fool. Only a person who is a fool would believe any promises they make us now. Any person who chooses to trust them now is a fool. And I'm sure there are going to be a few fools around who continue to trust them for whatever reason, which is really unfortunate, because there's no way that somebody can fail you so gigantically for 79 years and you still want to trust them now to make it. Now they're going to promise you, we're going to make you water secure. We're going to make you food secure. We're going to make you energy secure, and you trust them. Where were you 79 years ago? 69 years ago? 59 years ago? 49 years ago? 39 years ago? 29 years ago? 19 years ago? 9 years ago? Where were you with all of these ideas? So my friends, they can copy all they want, whatever the UIC is saying, but only a fool would trust them to deliver on what the UIC is talking about. One of them recently said, "Time come." That's their new campaign slogan, "Time come." You know that one, right? You know the one? Time come. That's what he's saying now. But we need to tell both of them. We need to tell both of them, it's the time up. The time has come for them to go, not for us to switch them out again. Their time is now unequivocally up. They need to go. And I'm hoping that we here are man enough and woman enough to say, time up, and we're going to make sure that you go. Now, very shortly, the UIC is going to hit the road. We're going to be going on another all-island tour, and we're going to go around parish by parish, community by community. But we can't do this without you, as you know. So right now, we need 15,000 US dollars to help us to be able to kick off our campaign across the country, to go to the parishes, the key communities with our candidates, and to unveil them in their respective areas. So we need each and every one of you on here to call your friends, your family, your co-workers, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in Jamaica, and so we need to donate to the UIC so that they have this money to go around to all of these parishes. We're going out in a few days, and so I'm asking all of you to go on and make a donation tonight, tomorrow. Go to our website, uicjamaica.com, call the telephone number, send a WhatsApp message to 2930812. Of course, that's 876. Contact us now and say, here is how I can donate to the campaign, whether through Western Union or through Zeal or Zelle or whatever it is. Let us, all of us now, get together and move swiftly to help this going. We need bus. We need food. We need internet access on the road. We need accommodation on the road. And so all of us have to roll up our sleeves and get involved in the process and make sure we're donating daily, weekly, monthly, whatever we can do. Just keep donating so that we have the money. And as we're going through these communities, don't let us run out of gas. Don't let us run out of food. Don't let us run out of accommodations, because we have to buy accommodations, because people are leaving. Some of us are leaving from Kingston, some from St. Catherine, some from Clarendon, some from St. Thomas, some from Portland, some from Montego Bay, some from Hanover, some from Trelawney, some from St. Mary, some from St. Anne. So all over the place, we have people moving around. So we need to have buses to move people to different locations. We need to have gas. We need to have accommodation. We need to have food. We need to have printed materials. So I'm counting on each and every one of you on this now. You alone can't do it, just like our me alone can't do it. So every one of us, find a way to get somebody, including yourself, your wife, your husband, your children, your auntie, your uncle, your grandmother, your grandfather, and let us all donate now so that the UIC can kick off its campaign to go across the island and carry the message that it's time for us to elect a government that is going to eliminate the corruption, the poverty, and the crime which has been plaguing Jamaica for 79 years under the same two political parties. Time up. Let us save Jamaica now. Let us pull together and save our country. And so I had to share that with you before I now move into what we're going to do about what I just described. There is a better way. And the UIC is here to provide that better way for all Jamaicans. We will use permaculture technology and principles to ensure every community has a water harvesting system that is tied to a national water grid to ensure they have adequate supply and adequate pressure of water going to every home, every farm, and every business in this country. This is more than a promise. This is an important foundation for us to have water security. We're going to repurpose JPS. We're going to repurpose JPS to serve the national interest by having an electricity grid where every single home and every single energy entrepreneur can easily buy from and sell electricity to the company in a safe, efficient, and effective manner to lower the cost of energy for all away. We're going to free up the energy sector, remove the monopolistic approach which this government and all those for the last 79 years have come to embrace. We're going to have an open market economy for energy, and the backbone of that system must be a national grid which is accessible to every Jamaican to draw from and to put in, and to do so easily without any major regulatory obstacles or hurdles being placed in their way. And it must be very lucrative for you to sell energy to the grid that you produce on your own property. Whether you're producing that electricity through solar or other means, we must be here as a government to facilitate you in doing so and ensuring an easy plug-in to that national grid system. We will empower our best and brightest minds to access the technology and undertake the development necessary to bring us to 100% renewable energy source for our homes, our schools, our churches, and our government offices. All those low energy sucking entities where we're not drawing massive amount of power that requires significant payloads of fossil fuels. We're going to make sure we can move those to 100% or very close to that. This will mean less importation of fossil fuel, less burning of fossil fuel, a more cleaner environment, and of course, we're going to ensure that the bill for energy comes down and our people therefore have cheaper energy in which to make economic decisions that's going to uplift their lives. We will adopt and improve upon the best techniques and technology in water, energy, and food production. We're going to invest in food science. We're going to organize and resource and empower our farmers and food processors to make us the organic food capital of the world. We must invest in that. We must focus our people on the techniques, the technology that brings us to the level of water efficiency in use and in building large capacity in terms of harvesting, and having the scientific mindset to grow food effectively and efficiently, to organize our space in optimal ways, including housing versus farming, and to resource our farmers, both technically and equipment-wise, so that they will have the means to do very, very well and make farming once again a top profession in this country. We will carefully preserve farmlands by stopping the urban sprawl. And we're going to make every Jamaican not only a property owner, but a shareholder in our farmlands. We're going to incentivize our people to ensure that our farming industry goes well. They become shareholders. That's how they're going to own the land. Shareholders in all of our productive lands. And while we're doing that, we're investing now in massive organic farms, investing in advanced agriculture technology, investing in advanced water harvesting and efficient use technology, investing in renewable energy industries, making our students, our graduates, masters in these areas. So when another country wants to know about how to deal with water harvesting and how to use water efficiently, they must not only go to Israel or to the Netherlands. They must say, look at what Jamaica is doing. So we're going to learn from the world, and we're going to improve upon the world. We're going to make our agricultural schools serious schools, not the playthings we have now. Serious scientists, scientifically driven, technology-driven schools that are going to ensure that we have the best minds and the best outcome in our agricultural space. We are going to excel in next-level agri-science, food science, and water harvesting and renewable technology, while making all of Jamaica a tourist destination that reflects the fact that we now have a government that respects the people. Right now, we don't have that. That is why Jamaica is so dirty. That is why your community looks so dingy. That is why we still have so many zinc fences all over the place. That's why we have communities with sewage running out in here. That's why we have those inner city communities that are so ugly and dirty, ghetto. All of that must go away if we respect our people. And so the UIC is going to respect the Jamaican people and therefore give us the kind of environment that we need to succeed. We can do it. We must do it. We have the capacity to do it. It doesn't matter how small you might think we are. We can do it. We're going to make every Jamaican a property owner as well as a farmland shareholder. While doing so, we're going to maximize the use of our farmlands, maximize the use of our water, maximize the use of renewable energy resources. We're going to do so deliberately, we're going to do so scientifically, and we're going to do so on a massive industrial scale. This means we'll have a massive building boom. We're going to be building some of the best well-architectured skyscrapers in the world right here in Jamaica, so we can house our people in style, in class. We're going to, at the same time, have a farming boom where we start to really produce and ship good quality foods out of this country. We're going to have a water harvesting boom and an exporting boom for water, a net exporter of water, because we have it. We're going to have a renewable energy infrastructure and expertise sales boom as we get more of our young men and women into the business of mastering renewable energy technology and selling that knowledge, selling their services to other countries around the world. from right here in Jamaica. We'll have some of the most major consulting firms for other countries on how they can do water harvesting effectively, how they can manage water resources optimally, how they can harvest energy from their natural resources effectively. From right here, we'll become the center for renewable energy, the center for water harvesting, the center for food security, because we're going to take it seriously, scientifically seriously. We'll have a job for everyone who wants one, and more jobs than our current population can supply. Many in the diaspora will now find this to be the best time to return to offer their physical and professional assets to Jamaica, because now they're going to get a price that makes it worth their while to return. And not only a dollar price, a social price, a safer country, a cleaner country, a more decent country. Our organic farming and food processing industry will become the leading source of foreign exchange. And it will help us to fund our rapid housing expansion. The two of them go hand in hand. As we build our housing stock in a quality way, I'm not talking the kind of foul cubs they're now building for us. I'm talking quality, upscale, beautiful homes, high-rise and low-rise, a mix of townhomes and flats, beautifully built, replacing all of the garrison, ghetto, and squatting communities you now see, so-called squatting communities you now see, with beautiful constructions, densely designed in order to preserve our land for food security and water security and energy security. So we're not going to do foolish constructions like we're doing now. So with this approach, we're now going to have some serious inflows of foreign exchange coming in to support the housing expansion. We will have enough water, we will have enough food, and we will have enough energy to absorb any global economic shock that may come. We are going to be more ready than we've ever been as a country. I hope that's the Jamaica you want, because that's the Jamaica that we plan to deliver. On top of all of that, because we would have made all of Jamaica a safe, clean, and orderly society, because we would have made every community look, smell, and feel like a tourist resort, and because we would have created this massive organic farming industry, and because we would have so mastered the use of our natural resources for optimal renewable energy production and use, we will become the most eco-friendly community tourism product the world has ever seen. And there again, we would have quadrupled our revenues from the tourism sector. So we have found a gold mine in organic farming. We have found another gold mine in water harvesting and export. And we have revisited a gold mine of tourism by making it community tourism, where all of Jamaica becomes the all-inclusive environment. Can you see clearly the economic engine that we would have created here? Massive production of food to meet our needs at home, quality food, healthy food that we export abroad also. Quality water harvesting, storage, purification, and distribution across our country, meeting all of our local needs and being able to meet the growing demand for water imports by other countries. and at the same time making all of Jamaica a tourist resort, not for the tourists, for us. But because we have made it look and feel so beautiful and rich and so clean and so orderly and so nice, of course, every tourist will come. They're going to marvel at how well we have maintained our natural resources, maintained our roads, our schools, our buildings, our parks, our markets, our community centers. They're going to marvel at our organic farm. They want to go and visit our farms and see how it is going and marvel at our technology. They're going to love the environments that we've created for the nightlife and for entertainment and for sporting complex and all of that. And they're going to want to come back here over and in fact, more of them will want to come and buy a piece of Jamaica, but it will be on a different basis then, different situation when we come in. Because our country will not be for sale anymore. This country is going to be for Jamaicans, and all our policies are going to be to protect and preserve Jamaica for Jamaicans. And of course, we love and welcome guests. But that's what we want, for you to come as a guest, not for you to come here and own. We want you to be a guest, come and enjoy for a little while, and go back home, and come again, and go back home again. But we, the people of Jamaica, you, my fellow Jamaicans abroad, and Jamaicans here at home, this is for your country. And so when you come back here as a Jamaican, nobody mustn't give you 6 months, but you can stay in the country for 6 months. Them days are done on the UIC. On the UIC, Jamaicans come and go as they're pleased. Your passport never expires, so to speak. This is your country. And so you will have the right to vote wherever you are in the world. You will have the right to run for office anytime you want to come home and run, whether you have dual citizenship or not. You must have the freedom to bring home all of your assets and pay no duty at all to bring back your assets, your business assets, your personal assets. We don't care. Once it's yours, you bring it home. And if you get into trouble anywhere around the world, you must be able to pick up the phone and call Jamaica, and your government will be on the case to make sure that your fundamental human rights are protected. A fair trial, proper representation, and that everybody know that you are from a country that has your back. So once they hear you're Jamaican, they don't ramp with you, because they know that you have a government that is in the business of protecting the people of Jamaica, whether they live in Africa or America, whether they live in China or Japan, whether they live in Australia or New Zealand. It doesn't matter. Once them name Jamaican, this government is going to be in the business of defending you and protecting you. And so now Jamaica is expanded. It's not just a little island anymore. It is all 7 or 8 million away, wherever we are. That's the new Jamaica we want to create. Voting rights for those in the diaspora, 100%. 100% duty-free return. The right to hold office with dual citizenship. And I know why I'm saying that. They force you to become a citizen of another country. You must not be penalized for the failings, the 79-year failings of these two pirates we call colonial parties. So I hope you can see clearly how taking water harvesting seriously and going truly organic in our farming industry and placing renewable energy at the forefront of our energy policy. I hope you can see how this is going to make us a very healthy nation, a very wealthy nation, a very independent nation. Because now The food we're producing is healthy. The environment that comes as a result of that is healthy. And the fact that we're exporting healthy food at a premium price brings us good returns, which is going to help to make us wealthy. And the fact that we are using more of our own local source of energy will cut our energy bill and cut our importation of fuels, which is going to bring down our cost of energy and therefore increase our productivity. The fact that we would have taken the steps to get rid of mining, which is a hazardous, dangerous risk, a threat actually to our national security. The fact that we would have eliminated that from our mix, our economic mix, and replaced that with water as the primary mining, if you will, accessing, harvesting, storing, purifying, and selling water as a net water exporter. The fact that we would have become water, food, and energy secure, these factors make us a truly independent nation, a wealthy nation, a healthy nation, a happy nation. This, my friends, is what we in the UIC call a real new Jamaica. That's what we want. And that's what we're going to create. True independence. Now, if that's what you want, type yes in your comment box, wherever channel you're on. Just type yes. That's what we want. Yes, UIC. That's what we want. If that's what you want, type yes so we can see that. If you don't want that, say no UIC. So yes UIC if you want what we've just described. No UIC if you don't want what we've just described. You're happy to stay with the system as it is, then you can say no. But if you want what we're offering, if you want what the UIC wants, a safe Jamaica, a clean Jamaica, a very orderly Jamaica, a Jamaica where all of us can live, earn, and retire with dignity, a Jamaica where we have water, food, and energy security, a Jamaica where we have organic farming at a level that makes us the organic food capital of the world, a Jamaica which looks, smells, and feels like a tourist resort in every community, so that we make all of Jamaica the all-inclusive resort, attracting tourists now from everywhere around the world to come and see this marvel. If that's the Jamaica you want, a Jamaica where nobody no live in a shack anymore, nobody is called squatter no more, no squatter no there again in that Jamaica. A Jamaica where we provide housing for all of our families of a decent level so our children can have the quality housing they need. Our children have the nutrition that they need, have the health care that they need, have the education that they need, have the housing that they need to succeed. If that's the Jamaica that you want, then this is the movement that you need to support. If you want what you have gotten for the last 79 years, then do nothing. Just do nothing. But if you want a change from the last 79 years of those two parties to a real new Jamaica that is about you, that is about giving you the country that you deserve, that you desire, that we are prepared to work for and fight for, then say yes, UIC, in your comments. Otherwise, say no. That's what I'm fighting for. That's why I'm here. And so at this point, I'm now ready to take your questions, if you have any, before I vacate the seat. I want to say thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for listening. And most importantly, thank you for donating. I think we're going to be on the road in about a week or so from today. We're going to be traveling across the country. We're going to be beating the drum. We're going to be calling the nation to action. We're going to be going beyond all the blockades, the media blockades, and all the attempts that they have made to quiet us and to keep us out of the public's view. We are going door to door. We're going community to community, but we can't do it without you. So every day, send what you can. If it's $1 you have, send it. $5, send it. $10, send it. I want 1,000 of you to send $25 a month. That will give us $25,000 to make sure we win some seats in the next election. We have the local government election coming on by February. So you see the Prime Minister shuffle up in cabinet now. What a foolishness, eh? They take the same non-performers and they move them around. What a piece of idleness. I just love the UIC approach. Our approach is not to have these lame politicians trying to run ministries. Let politicians be politicians. Let them represent the people. Let them focus on holding the executive branch accountable. Don't have these people who figure out how to win an election, have them as ministers when they might not be qualified. The UIC method is to make sure we have subject matter experts, people who are qualified and competent to lead a ministry. Let us have those in the ministries as the head of department to lead those ministries effectively. If we had the UIC system 25 years ago, Jamaica would be a first world country today. Instead, they keep shuffling around the same foolishness and then shuffle between the same two parties. We must get rid of them now. We must get rid of this system now. It's time for us to save Jamaica now. It's time for us to say enough is enough. We want good governance now. I am tired of seeing Jamaica fail. And that's what we've had for the last 79 years. Failure, 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 failure. And I know they still trick some away. They still have a whole heap of them running up and down, jumping up and down for those two parties. I don't know how they do it. All I know how, you have to be really ignorant, right? You have to be very ignorant to be able to continue to jump up and down behind. Either you're ignorant or you're a part of their corruption mechanism. So those who are a part of it and feel that they're benefiting from the corruption, so they can suffocate their intelligence and participate in that kind of charade. But then there are others now who are just mindless, don't understand what's going on. They get $5,000 and that's it, or some liquor. But we have to do better. All right, let me take some questions now, if you have any questions. Alice says, please can I ask when the Invest in Yourself course will be scheduled? Okay, very good question. So the Invest in Yourself course is going to be on January 28th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. It's going to be online only. So go to the website, uicjamaica.com, and pay your $25 and get your space. We're going to talk about things like how to pay yourself first, which is, you might have heard that concept before, but I'm going to really explain it in ways that you might not have thought about before. I'm going to teach you exactly how to pay yourself first. We're going to talk about how to mind your own business. I'm going to explain to you how you can structure your life so that you're truly minding your own business in a profitable way. When they talk about making money work for you, I know they taught us in school how to work for money, but they've never taught us how to make money work for us. And so I'm going to explain that in some level of detail for you at this course. When they talk about financial, tax, and cash flow planning, all three of those are critical. You have to understand tax planning, not just how to go and earn money. You have to understand how to plan that money, and you have to plan it on three levels: the financial level, the tax level, and the cash flow level. I'm going to also break down accounting and economics for you and make it simple so you can start applying accounting principles and economic principles in a way that works for a layperson, but do so with some degree of technical competence. I'm going to talk about how to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. This requires a kind of 360 degrees management of your life, one component of which, of course, is money. And finally, I'm going to show you how to invest. I'm going to give you some clues as to how to invest in the stock market, how to invest in bonds, how to invest using private equity, how to invest in real estate, how to invest in commodities, and most importantly, how to invest in yourself so that you become a dynamic asset and can therefore leverage this wonderful thing that God gave us in a way to make you financially independent or financially secure. I'm going to talk about retirement planning and how you can plan to return to Jamaica if you're living overseas. Some key things you need to do to be able to effectively plan your transition coming home. If you're not coming home to live, how to even invest in Jamaica. And if you're living in Jamaica, how to invest abroad, how to export abroad, how to invest in countries outside of Jamaica in a way that works optimally for you. So thanks for that question. All right, apart from donation, how about airtime? How expensive it is? Airtime. Well, airtime is very expensive here in Jamaica. I think I'm losing some chat sessions here. All right, let me see, what can I get here? It's coming very fast now. Mr. Patterson, what if you would like to sponsor someone from Jamaica that wants to do the course but not affordable to them? Anyone that wants the course. I don't know anyone that I would like to sponsor. Well, if you pay for a ticket and ask us to allocate it to somebody who we think would benefit from it, then we will let you know who that person is and we will apply the ticket to them. So you can just go ahead and donate. For example, one lady, I think she paid $150 and is just saying, allocate that to some people. And so we'll do that for her. You can do the same thing. Daniel Taylor. Okay, I won't read that one. Was the church gathering about the UIC? I'm not sure what that is about. Deveru or Devru? What is the church planning? I'm not sure. Let me see if I can get another question here. I think I'm getting a flu or something, getting stuffy. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Several St. Catherine churches recently had a gathering in the streets of St. Catherine. They had a big turnout. They're planning more. How could the UIC take advantage of this momentum? I don't know, Jojo. I honestly don't know how we can take advantage of a church gathering. I'm not sure. If you can think of any ideas, let me know. I don't know how we can do that. I don't. Okay, let me see if I can figure this one out. Somebody says this course is worth more than 25. Absolutely, Douglas, it is. But we try to make it reasonable. The proceeds go to the campaign, so that's a good thing. Somebody else says, can I donate via Western Union? Yes, you can. Or MoneyGram? Yes, Janet, you can donate via those ways. Just contact the phone number, the UIC number, and you'll be given the assistance to donate through Western Union or MoneyGram. Thank you so much for that. Yes, Mr. President, a lot of Jamaicans are still ignorant, still sleeping, unfortunately, yes. Let's see, who else we got here? Mr. Patterson, I should have asked, what's the cost for a few more interviews? I'm not sure what you mean, Joseph. The cost of a few more interviews, I'm not sure. Are you saying what the cost is for me to be on more interviews? Normally, there's no cost except my time and the interviewer's time. If that's what you mean, hope I'm answering the question correctly. Hey guys, I'm getting stuffy. As I'm speaking, my nose is clogging up. My wife has been sick, she has the flu. And I think maybe it's my time now. I hope not. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, you want the UIC numbers? All right. Let's see if we can get the UIC number up. How to contact the UIC. Here we go. Oops, I think that's an old thing there. But you can contact us at this number, 2930812. I know there's another number as well. You can also contact us here, 471-6598. So 2930812 or 471-6598. You can also email us at info@uicjamaica.com. Yes, you can make a Zelle payment as well. Just contact the number on screen and you can make a payment through Zelle. All right. Super chats. Let me see if I can see your question on super chats. What is that now? Where is that? Where is that? You want to post it again so I can see it? I kind of missed it somewhere there. So post it again for me if you can. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm really excited though about what we're going to do in a week or so, about a week and a half or so. We're hitting the streets, and I'm truly depending on you guys, because we don't have any money. We don't have any money, so we're depending on you guys to give us the funds, as we go. So any day at all you can find some money to send to us, just send it. Don't wait for a particular time. If you find $25, $50, $100, $1,000, just send it so that we're going to make commitments without knowing if we have the money. We're going to be getting a vehicle or vehicles, organizing accommodations and all of that, right? Photography, videography, all kind of stuff. We have to help out a few of our members who may need some money, given their personal situation. So we need to raise quite a bit of funds to be able to, do what we need to do here. Repeat the numbers. It's 876-293-0812. So that's 876-293-0812 or 876-471-6598. 876-471-6598. All right, so the super chat here, let me see what this is. I was saying, so super chats to get the live donations, anything will do. It might motivate others to join. Also, Patreon was important in how Sir P grew his movement. UIC should follow. Tell Naika. Yeah, man, I think she's aware. So Naika, if you're watching, if you're here, and I will tell you again, look into super chats and to Patreon and into all of those technologies and see if we can help us figure out better and more effective ways of collecting donations. Thank you again, Devereaux. Much appreciated. Okay. So here we go. We continue on. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Okay. So again, numbers on screen. Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to seeing you all following us when we go on the road in a week or so. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We'll be streaming stuff from time to time, pieces of the move here and there. We can do this. Remember, we're a grassroots movement, grassroots to the core, grassroots all the way. So we're not the big donors. We're not on the pay bill of the PSOJ. We're not funded by the colonial powers. We get no tax revenue, so we're not getting any tax dollars. When you see the other leaders on the road, they're fully paid. Their salaries are covered, their transportation is covered, their meals are covered. Everything for them is covered. For the UIC, nothing to cover. We can only spend what you give us. So we have no tax dollars. We have no foreign agencies giving us any money. We have no PSOJ, rich businesses giving us any money. We're 100% relying on you. So thank you, Joseph Richardson, for sending what you can by weekend. For the Zelle account, cool guy, just connect the number, contact the phone number, and you'll get it. Contact us on this number that's on screen, and you'll get that information, please. So somebody will send you the Zelle info for you to be able to pay us. Now, remember, we still don't have a commercial bank account from one of the major commercial banks. We're still trying to get one from them. So we're using various members' account. For example, I think Janet Chokonowski uses her Zelle account for us, and I think Harrison also uses his for us. So a number of persons are helping us through various means to receive funds and stuff like that. So we're trying to build this out. But soon, we're going to cross all those bridges soon. We get to 1,000 donors at 25. And by the way, I noticed, congratulations to all of you who have since joined. I know we're now over the 200 mark. Last year we had 199 persons. And I think this month we've made it over the 200 mark by maybe 3 or 4 persons. So please keep it coming. Get your friends and family. I just had a cousin that came by to see me on, when was it? On Sunday. Young man, 30 years old, engineering graduate from, I think he's watching right now. I won't call his name, but I know he's probably on tonight. He said he would be on. But we had our first time, we're family members, but I haven't seen him for years. He was a kid when I knew him. Now he's a grown man, 30 years old. I'm about to get married and everything. And we had a chance to talk about the UIC. And I was so impressed, that he's already organizing his friends. He has never voted before, but he's organizing his friends at work and others to vote UIC, telling them, vote for my cousin. So his mother is my aunt. Yeah, right. His mother is my aunt. And so I was quite impressed with, and he was doing all of this work before we met. He was beginning to mobilize people and stuff. And recently, one of my uncles from Canada also joined the movement, and he's rallying, other family members around the world to kind of get involved and get behind. Some of these persons I haven't spoken to for years, or I've never even spoken to some of them, but they're now getting involved in the movement, wherever they are. My wife's family as well, different people are donating and contributing and helping out. So little by little, we're building out. And if all of us just come together, join hands, and say, it's time for us to create one Jamaica, because we know that we're stronger together. And we can overcome these two parties. They're big, they're powerful, they're entrenched, they have captivated the minds and hearts of some of our people. They have a strong, well, not really strong, they have a base, and that base is beginning to weaken a bit. And then we have the vast majority of Jamaicans, the 63% versus the 37%. Yeah, so the 63% who is not voting, we need to get all of them to find the what do you call it now? Find the drive again, the will again to engage in the political process, recognizing that if they don't engage in the process, the 37% will engage, and that 37% will continue to vote for bad governance, right? So Some of the 37% is moving over into the center to join the UIC, which is good. But we need the bulk of the 63% that didn't vote to come over and take back their country from those on the other side who will vote for one of these two failing agencies. Yeah, they've gotten 79 years to do something. They haven't done it. They have wasted 79 years. Wasted our money, wasted our time, and blunted our future. So we can't afford to give them another day, another month, another year, another 5 years. We can't afford to give them that. So we now have to mobilize and get it done. Yeah. So let's reach the 63%. And the way to do that is to get out there in the streets, in the towns, in the communities, Santa Cruz, Savlamar, Lucy, Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, Bascobel, Ochi, everywhere. Junction, St. Elizabeth. Let's get out there. So, and for us to do that, it takes money. We need money for food, money for transportation, money for accommodation, money for data. So we have to have data on the road, and phone and stuff. Printed materials. Yes, Janet, Negril, absolutely. Little London, absolutely. All of them. Yeah. By the way, where are you all from? So let me know. I see a number of persons on the live here. Just write where you're from. Which parish or town you are or state. Where you are. Like if you're in New York, or you in Florida, or you in Kingston, or you in Montego Bay, or you in Santa Cruz, Braze River, Elam. Write it in the comment section. Let me see where you are. Sometimes I don't know where everybody is from, and like who's on. So Zena Brown is in Maryland. Welcome. Zena, you'd be happy to know that my mother is in Maryland. So my mother and some of my siblings are in Maryland. And we have cool guy in Connecticut. Beautiful. I don't have anybody in Connecticut. Colorado, USA, Joseph Richardson. And we have Kirk in Canada. Big up. You know that I lived in Canada before. Where in Canada are you, Kirk? Brooklyn. Yeah, Sylvester Lawrence is in Brooklyn, New York. And Howard Foster is in Canada. Oh, Canada. St. Catherine, WK Entertainment. Wonderful, St. Catherine. I lived in St. Catherine. I lived in a place called Meadowvale, which is close to Gregory Park. Before St. Anne, USA. Interesting. Okay, we have UK. It's now 2:30 a.m. All right. Good night, Alice. Have a good night's sleep. New Jersey, but from Broughton, Little London, Westmoreland. Janet, wonderful. Chris B, Toronto. Douglas Harper, Kingston, big up. Kirk in Edmonton, Canada. I've been there once or twice. Liddy in Atlanta, good to see you. Good for you to be on. So quite a broad cross section of people. Erland Malcolm, Little London, Westmoreland. Wonderful to see you on, Erland. I'm looking forward to passing through Little London again. We did that last year about this time. Sylvia in West Palm Beach, 9:32 p.m. over there. Cool, Sylvia. Good for you to be on. And Roundtable says, Mr. Patterson, can you ask supporters to gather in groups and watch UIC and call on live from all over Jamaica? Yes, we can do that. We'll try that. Arrow, over there in Northeast Manchester. Wonderful. M. Hutchinson, yes, make the change, Jamaicans. Absolutely. St. Catherine, Port St. Lucia. Yeah. Carol Spence. And Wade Noble is in Cayman Island. Good. And Clean D says, I'm from St. Anne, but work in Maine, USA. Got it. I've been to Maine, I've been to Maine one time to Maine. London, Brixton, Rich, Eat, Happy. Excellent. Lester Turner, USA. All right. Nice to have you on, Lester. Who else we have? They are a minority. Majority rules. Okay, Pat Lewis, yes. Well, the UIC kind of want to make sure we defend the rights of everybody. But yes, right now we need the majority to come to the UIC so we can win the election and set Jamaica straight. Florida, yes, Sharon Small. Sharon, I have some family in Florida. I have at least 2 sisters in Florida, a stepsister and a half sister. And what else I have? I have an uncle. One of my uncles lives in Florida as well. Yes, good. So lovely connections. Lovely to see so many people from all over the place. And now I have to bid you good night. And because it's now 4 minutes past my time, I want to thank you all very much again for being on. Remember, one Jamaica, stronger together. Let's preserve one UIC. I want to say one big shout out to all those persons who, for one reason or another, may have left the movement because of all kind of stuff that may have happened. I want to encourage all of you that now is the time to come home. Now is the time for us to join hands together. We're facing a most difficult moment in our history, a very dangerous place in our history. The whole world is rapidly changing, and we have leaders now at the helm of Jamaica who do not understand how to protect our interest as a people, who do not care to protect our interest as a people, and who will sell us out at the drop of a pin. They tried to sell us out, did sell us out, and almost destroyed us recently with their foreign masters medication. They've sold us out in backside. They have wrecked our education. They are destroying our land. They are undermining the purchasing power of our dollar. They have reduced our productivity over the years. And so right now, we're at a very dangerous place. So help us. Let us save Jamaica now. Let us rise up and take charge of our country. Master Barber from Boston, Massachusetts, good to have you on. Thanks to all of you again for being here tonight. Have a good night until we meet again. Take care. One Jamaica, stronger together. All the best. Oh, you can go ahead and score tonight. What is the score? 100%? 90%? 50%? Please go ahead and put your score in and let us know how you rate tonight's program. Take care until we talk again.